Hi, Emily French here, and I want to continue the conversation about Hagar, Sarai, and Abram. And I want to look at the story, the next piece here. And I had mentioned in the last video that Hagar is just around the corner from coming face to face with the living God, or who she will call El Rohi, the God who sees me. And she's run away from Sarai because it says that Sarai and her were not getting along. All of a sudden, Hagar is pregnant, right? And Sarai is not happy. Hagar is not happy. And so Sarai, in some translations, says actually starts abusing her, and Hagar runs away. In this moment, they both could have the potential to look at one another and say, you are the problem. You are evil. You are wrong. And the whole reason I wanted to present this story and this conversation, this ongoing conversation, was to really look at our thinking and the way we view the world, because I think this way of viewing the world causes so much pain, so much unhealth, so much stress, so much anxiety in our lives. Both of these women have the right to say, you have done me wrong, or to even look at God and say, you have done me wrong. They both have the right to say that. And what we have done to make ourselves feel comfortable is we have personified evil. We've taken evil, we call it the devil, right? And we have personified it, and we have made him into something we can wrap our minds around, and it's outside of ourselves, right? We have taken the concept of evil, of darkness, everything, and we've placed it outside of ourselves, and we've given it a pitchfork and a tail, and we've colored him red, and we say, that is evil, that is the devil. So now we can look around at one another and we can say, you are evil, you are wrong, you are listening to the devil, whatever you might want to say. It's outside of us, right? So here we are, we've personified evil outside of ourselves. And don't you think maybe it was so important that we don't box things in? And you think maybe that the God, the living God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was so strategic when he started to unveil himself to this people group. For example, when Moses came and heard from the burning bush, right? And he is sent, he's commissioned to go, right? And he says, who should I say sent me? And the way that this living God articulates himself to Moses is say, I am who I am. This is so important. In this culture, this was a pluralistic culture of many gods. There was the God of the rain, the God of the clouds, the God of the sun. And here, this God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, would not give you an image, because if you have an image, you can box it in. If you have an image, your mind can wrap itself around it and feel good and comfortable. If you have an image, then there's no more room for mystery. It is now a box that you can very nicely categorize. So if we've done this with God, we've made him a him, we've figured out exactly who he is, and we've put him in a box, and then we've done this with evil, and we have made him a him as well, and we've put him in a box, and everything is outside of us. But what if? Perfect example, the story where Jesus is sent into the wilderness to be tested. And in that story, it tells us of a evil. It actually uses the word diablo. Our Bibles translate it as devil, comes to tempt him. And so our whole lives we've been taught about this evil something that comes to him, right? Even in our little storybooks, we see this devil image, like there's an actual thing there talking to Jesus. And it's called diablo. That word actually means to bring charges, usually with hostile intent, to a slanderous or accusing falsely. That's what that word actually means. And so what if this whole idea of this evil and this darkness being outside of us actually is creating more problems? Because what if the evil and the darkness we need to deal with is actually here? What if even in this story that Jesus being sent into the wilderness to be tested, that he is actually fighting an internal battle? I know that might mess with some people's theology. That's okay. I just want us to think about this. What if this is about an internal battle? And what if these different tests actually hit on these core things that we've got to deal with? Like, for example, what if one of these core things, who is your source? Who makes the rain fall? Make this stone into bread. Who is your source? What if Who holds your life? Throw yourself off of this temple and see if you will die or not. Who holds your life? Who is your security? In whose hands is your life held securely? And lastly, to whom will you bow? Who will you worship? What is mastering your life? What masters you? What controls you? Internal battle. To what will I surrender? If we start dealing with our internal darkness, if we stop looking at others as the problem, and if we look at ourselves and start dealing with our own internal darkness, what would happen? If Hagar and Sarai both have issues, both need grace, both need the God who sees them and to know their darkness and to heal their darkness. Both of them need it. You need it. I need it. I need help overcoming the dark inside of me.